Hey there, welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. As a reminder, this program is available on multiple podcast outlets like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Among others, just simply do a search for the Ben Maynard program, and you'll have several options to choose from. Pick your option. I like to steer everybody towards Buzzsprout because that's where my website is. And if you can't resist this right here, and I know there's many of you that can't, and you watch on YouTube, then I ask that you please subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. I love comments. And as I said in the past, I'll read comments right here on the air. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, simply Ben Maynard Program. And with that, there are plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. So let's recap the last show. That was the Christmas show. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it, and got a chance to get out of the studio, set up in the living room. I was doing work. To tell the truth, anyway, I was doing work in the studio, installing some new lights, just trying to take care of some things. So it made a perfect time to get out and record a show somewhere else. And why not in front of the Christmas tree, huh? In front of the Christmas decorations, and bring you a Christmas show. I did. I had a lot of fun. I want to say that I hope you all enjoyed your Christmas holiday, however you choose to celebrate it. I hope it was safe. Everybody's coming back to the show now. I know that we had a ton of fun here at our home. We had a big party. We called it the Christmas Eve party. So we had it on the 23rd rather than the 24th, and we planned it that way just so that we have a large family, and so we didn't want to get in the way of other people's smaller get-togethers on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day as well. So we did that. It was good. It worked out for us. Bumping into the microphone here. It worked out for us that that Christmas was on a Monday. So we had a nice big party here. I think we had about 50 people. So it was just a ton of fun. We were all in our pajamas outdoors. Fortunately, we're here in Southern California. Yeah, it was cold. It was chilly, but we had the fire pits going, and we had the patio heaters going, and it was quite Christmassy outdoors, and we had a good time. So anyway, with that, this here is going to be the last program for the year, closing out 2023 with this show right here. And not a lot to get into, not a lot to cover. There's a couple things I thought were interesting and I would go over with everyone. I want to cover my favorite CDs or my favorite albums of the year. I say CDs because I'm staring down at the table here at these albums in CD form. But I want to cover my favorite CDs or my favorite albums of the year, and then I want to talk about a couple of documentaries that I think you'll find real interesting. I know I do, and there's a lot of good stuff with them. So anyway, so let's get into that, and first we'll get started. Like I said, with my favorite albums of 2023, and I'm cheating a little bit. I've got it down to 3. I'm only going to give you 3. A lot of people want to do top 5s or top 10s and all that, but I'm going to keep it at 3. There was just a ton of music released in the year 2023, a ton in the genre that we listen to, that we like to take in. But I am limiting it to 3. And I think right out of the gate, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. the first one I'm going to talk about is was released in December of 2022. But I myself didn't get this album until early in 2023. So there you go. So it's 2023 for me. I've talked about this one in the past, and it's just really good. So and these are in no particular order. Actually, they are in a particular order, and the order is their release date. That's all it is. It's not going to be my favorite top to bottom or bottom to top, nothing like that. But the first one I'm going to talk about is that one right there, Steve Jerry, 7 Ways Till Sunday. You know, this is just such a wonderful album. I know I talked about it early on in the history of this show, but since then, that's what 2.5 months ago, and I've even been able to spend more time with it. I'll be honest with you. This one here is I'm going to set it up right there. You probably can't see it anyway, but that one there, that is a rotation for me, and I listen to it while I'm working out. Now, I don't have it blasting. I have it in the background, just because of the workout that I put in. Um, I work out on the tonal, if anybody knows what a tonal is. And so I work out with a trainer, so I can't have it too loud in my workout room, but I have it on in the background. So 3 to 4 days a week, I have 7 Ways Till Sunday playing from front to back. And every time I hear it, I love it more. It's to me, it's kind of like Arrival Part 2. It sits for me somewhere between Journey Arrival and uh, Journey Generations. It sits somewhere in between the two of those. It's not. It's there's a lot of Journey sound to it, but then there's a lot that's not Journey sound. So that's why I say it's kind of in the middle there. Steve definitely does have his own sound, and he's in great voice on this. He sounds wonderful. Um, I still have to go with my three favorite tracks, but which are the last three tracks on the album. But as I said, the more I listen to it, the more it's like, okay, now I don't have three favorite. Now I have four favorite tracks. Now I have five favorite tracks. And it's just that good. It really, really is. So if you don't have this one, I recommend you go out and grab this one. You can buy it off of his website. You can probably buy it anywhere else you can get music too. But it's just really that good. And I'll be very, very honest. Look, I'm always going to be honest with you as a listener to this program. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on musicians. I'm going to give you my honest opinion on music, the music that they put out. I don't have an agenda here. I'm not out here to make best friends because I don't know any of these people. But I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And with 7 Ways to Sunday, that album is so much better than I thought it would be. And that is, to me, I'm giving Steve a tremendous compliment on that. Not that I didn't think he had the ability or the capability of doing it, but it's just, I don't know what else to say. It is so much better than I thought it would be. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. If I have to give it, a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it probably a 9.5. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not trying to shill for anyone. I'm not trying to score points. I'm just giving you my honest opinion because there are songs on there that when they come on, they just hit me a certain way. They strike a chord within me, and that's what to me that's what music's all about. And there's a lot of really cool, I don't want to say soul music, but soulful, because I've always believed that that just like Steve Perry, Steve Augeri has a soul in his voice. He doesn't just sing the notes. He's very soulful in his with his voice and in his delivery. So anyway, so that's certainly one of my favorites of the year. The next one, this one was released right at the end of January. I think it was around the 27th of January of 2023. And that is from this band right here, Uriah Heep. This is their Chaos and Color album, the follow-up to their 2019 album, or 2018, I'm sorry, late 2018 album, Living the Dream. And what can I say about this one? You know, I'm a tremendous fan of Uriah Heep, and I have been, oh gosh, probably since I was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. I got turned on to Uriah Heep from my brother Jim, and I've just been a fan ever since. And yes, Uriah Heep is a band that is down to one original member, Mick Box, the guitarist in the band, or lead guitarist in the band. But a lot of that is through it's not through guys coming and going, it's through guys dying. And so, you know, I always give a pass to that type of stuff. You can't help it if someone dies. But and I'm not going to get into Uriah Heep too much. That's not what this show is about today. And trust me, there is a Uriah Heep episode out there, and it's coming. It's coming. I'm working on it, and it for any Heep fans out there, it's going to be tremendous. You're going to want to listen or watch the show, but it'll be coming in the new year. But this album, like I said, what I love about it, maybe even more than the music, and the music's great. It is a great follow-up to Living the Dream. This band is, you know, I will say the core of this band has been together now. I think it's almost 35 years, maybe longer. Which is Mick Box, Phil Lanzon, and Bernie Shaw. Bernie is the lead singer. Phil is on keyboards. There has been, you know, there was a change a few years ago on bass. That was Dave Rimmer. Dave Rimmer took over for Trevor Bolder, who passed away. And then Russell Gilbrook, who is on drums now, he took over, I believe it was in 2007, for the late, great Lee Kerslake. Why? Well, Lee was dealing with a lot of health problems back then, and there was just no way he could tour anymore. So he bowed out, and Russell came in. And so, I mean, yes, there have been a lot of lineup changes. There have been a lot of different lineups in Uriah Heep. But the one thing that has been very, very consistent has always been the great output of music. They've stayed true. Well, I shouldn't say they've stayed true. They did change up their sound in the 80s. They became a little more mainstream in the early 80s. They were kind of going with that sound of the early 80s British heavy metal bands, kind of going with that. I don't want to say early Judas Priest, more in line of what maybe Ozzy Osbourne was doing on Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. They were kind of going for that sound a little bit, and it did gain them some traction during those times in the early 80s. But when it got to the 90s, they really started to get back to their roots, which is just hard driving, heavy rock, a lot of Hammond organ, and just so good. Progressive. There's a lot of progressiveness in their music, and there's a lot of guitar work. Mick Box Mick Box is an absolute beast on guitar. I've had the privilege to see this band a couple of times, and this right here, um, Chaos and Color, does not disappoint. I started to say, and then I got off on a tangent. What I like I said, maybe just as much as the music, is the packaging in this. The packaging. I've never seen another disc packaged like this. This is almost like a hardcover book, a mini hardcover book. It's got nice, heavy, thick, beautiful color photos of the guys in the band. It's got all the all the lyrics, the liner notes and credits, and for those of you who are Jeff Scott Soto fans, Jeff co-writes the um, the lead track on this album here. He co-writes it with bassist Dave Rimmer. Yeah, so that one's "Save Me Tonight." That was, I believe, that was the first song released off the album. I think the second one was Hurricane. They might have been released right about the same time. But if you're a Heep fan, if you're a diehard Heep fan, yeah, definitely grab this one if you haven't already. It is, you won't be disappointed. It is that good. It is that good. Okay. So then the last one that I'll talk about, my favorite albums of the year, or my three favorite anyway. And I just can't get enough of this band. I love this band so much. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. I'll try to get the glare off of there, but that's Angel. That's Angel, and that's their latest release. That's Once Upon a Time. It was released, I think it was April 24th, somewhere around there of this year. And what can I say? It's the follow-up to their 2019 album, Risen. And I'm wow. Like I said, I love this band so much. These guys are so good. The musicianship is great on this. The songwriting, I think, is just, it's just something else. It's just so good. And I love the combination of Punky Meadows and Frank Domino and Danny Farrow, who are basically the main songwriters on everything since the reformation of Angel. And it's just the lead track, The Torch, is maybe kind of a sequel to probably the the fan favorite of Angel, and that's The Tower. It kind of has, yeah, it's kind of like a sequel to that, but um, the music on here is just so good. And I really do, I wish that these guys would get a lot more traction than what they're getting out there in the music world. They're certainly never going to get any airplay. None of these bands that I'm talking about tonight are going to get any airplay. That's not the point. The point is, I wish that they would get just more exposure, though, through their shows, through social media, um, through other avenues, other people in the broadcast business, that would push these guys. I know Angel's been around for a long time, but since they reformed, they're obviously they put out two albums, great albums, and I say great, yeah, great with a capital G. Um, and it's just a band that is so worth your time going out to see because they deliver, and it's just, yeah, it's a good show. I can't wait. I know they're going to be doing some more touring um, coming up in the new year, and I can't wait for those shows. I'm going to be looking those up. I'll be finding a couple shows in my area. I'll be hitting them up. I'll be standing front and center right in front of those guys. Just really, really good stuff. Um, and Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll keep up the good work too. Maybe put out another album, if not in the next year. Um, maybe the year after. But I look forward to any new material that these guys deliver. So yeah, so those are my three favorite albums of the year 2023. Like I said, I wasn't going to hammer you with a big long list. Um, but I wanted to bring those to light. I know I've talked about them a little bit in the past, so why not talk about them again? Because I'd never get tired of talking about these three acts right here. That's just no two ways about it. Um, so the next thing I wanted to bring up was a couple of documentaries. The first one I'll talk about is it's a John Lennon documentary. It's on Apple TV if you have that streaming service. It's called John Lennon Murder Without a Trial. Now, I haven't finished it. I'll be honest with you. Um, I'm 2/3 of the way through it. It's three parts. I've seen the first two parts, and I'll probably finish up watching that once I'm done recording this show here. But it's really good. When John Lennon was murdered, I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school. And I loved the Beatles. And I mean, I still do. I still like the Beatles. Um, but at 15 years old, I still hadn't even really broadened my musical taste. It was just getting there. So I was quite familiar with the Beatles, and I think I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 Beatle albums that I wish I still had to this day. But, as an 18-year-old, I took them to the record store and sold them. And that's a shame. I really wish I still had them. Oh my gosh. I want to punch myself when I think about that. But, but so I'm 15 years old at the time that John Lennon is murdered. And yes, a Beatles fan. In fact, I was watching Monday Night Football when the announcement was made right on television. So that was quite a shock. But being 15, I didn't know all the particulars. I didn't know all the ins and outs on this, on the case. And what this documentary does is it brings in people who have never spoken about this before, people with firsthand, first firsthand eyewitnesses to the events that night. Um, a close personal friend of John and Yoko's, a cab driver, the doorman, or the concierge at the Dakota where they lived. Um, these people, they've never spoken before, and now their stories are coming out and they're sharing their information, and it does shed some light on it. Through the second part of the documentary, um, it's kind of starts to touch on the possibility that there was a conspiracy out there to do away with John Lennon, from the conspiracy from the FBI or the CIA, something like that. I don't know. I'll see what happens when I finish watching it. Um, but the way things go down in our government now, I wouldn't be I wouldn't put it past them. That's for sure. Um, but it's really good. And if you're like me and you were young when it happened, or maybe you weren't even alive when it happened, it's great information, and it takes you back. At least it takes me back, of course. But it's good stuff. A lot of good information, some good interviews, and I'm looking forward to part 3 of this documentary. And once again, it's called John Lennon, uh, Murder Without a Trial. So yeah, they get into Mark David Chapman, and it's pretty in depth. It's pretty in depth. I'll leave it there. Just good stuff. If you have the service, if you have Apple, seek it out. It's definitely worth your time. And then the next doc that I wanted to talk about, I'm going back to one of my favorites, Uriah Heep. There's a documentary just came out a couple weeks ago. It's called Lee Kerslake, Not on the Heap. Lee Kerslake was the drummer in Uriah Heep. He actually was not the original drummer. He came in, I believe, on Uriah Heep's, I believe his first album was the Demons and Wizards album in 1972. So I believe he came into the band in late 71. So it might have, I think Demons and Wizards, I believe, is Uriah Heep's fourth album, believe it or not, in 72, 4 albums in. That's how prolific this band was in the 70s and even into the 80s. But Lee Kerslake, it's for those who are not familiar, Lee was the drummer in the classic lineup of Uriah Heep. But in the early 80s, he had left the band due to a disagreement with the band's manager, Jerry Braun, over money. What else, of course? Jerry Braun, not one of my favorite guys, certainly not as a band manager. But he had a disagreement and he left Uriah Heep. And he got a call from, I believe it was Bob Daisley. Everybody knows Bob Daisley from from Ozzy's band. Well, Ozzy, as you know, in 1980 was out of Black Sabbath and was looking to resurrect his career and looking to put a band together. So Lee got a phone call. I believe it was from, like I said, Bob, and said, "Hey, Ozzy's looking for this, looking for that, needs a drummer." Blah blah blah. They had auditioned numerous drummers and couldn't find the right one. Lee comes in, knocks it out of the park. Lee is now part of the band. So it covers Lee's time in Uriah Heep. It covers the time that well, it doesn't cover the time that he was with Ozzy, and he recorded those first 2 albums with Ozzy. And for those who don't know, the very first Ozzy album, Blizzard of Oz, was not supposed to be called that. The band itself was supposed to be called Blizzard of Oz. And the guys in the band, meaning Randy and Bob and Lee, all thought that they were now a part of this band called Blizzard of Oz until the album dropped. And it says, on the album cover, Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz. Well, strike one against Sharon Osbourne for that. I mean, she was the manager. Strike one against her because these guys felt deceived. But so it covers a little bit about that. And though for those who don't know, those 2 records, those first 2 records of Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, worldwide, and it says it in the doc, worldwide, they've sold something like 26 million copies. And I think just in the United States alone, they're up, both of those combined are up around 16 million. So just tremendous numbers in the way of sales. But it covers the time that Lee was a part of the band, and this documentary was filmed during Lee's last, probably his last year and a half to 2 years that he lived. He had been battling cancer among other ailments, and the one thing that he has wanted this whole entire time is, him and Bob never got recognition for writing, and Randy as well, for writing all this material. Ozzy never wrote a song. He never wrote lyrics. He didn't write anything. He hummed out some melodies from time to time. But yet, on the backs of all these Ozzy albums, he gets credit for he gets all the writing credits. Well, Of course, that never sat well with Bob and Lee. They had fought for years in court with the Osbournes over that, and they ended up losing. They got a small, tiny settlement, but not much. But it talks about that a little bit. But more importantly, Lee mentions the fact that all he really wants is to be recognized for his contributions to Ozzy's solo career by way of receiving his um, platinum records for these two. He's never gotten platinum records for these, so um, so they go through that a little bit, and it's just a really good. It's a feel good moment, but you know being the big Uriah Heep fan that I am, I've always appreciated Lee Kerslake, and he's always been such an underrated drummer. He's been an underrated singer too. Oh my gosh, if you could hear him sing, especially in his heyday, great singer, great drummer. But as I said, he's underrated in the United States, and he's underrated amongst, I guess you could say, music fans. But to the musician, Lee Kerslake is not an underrated drummer at all. Um, Drummers understand what Lee Kerslake's contribution to music has been over the years, and what a fabulous drummer he is. They all said he had the fastest foot of any drummer they'd ever seen. Multiple musicians had said that, um, where it would sound like he was playing a double bass drum. Um, it's just his foot, just his right foot. But they said he had the fastest foot, not a double bass pedal, just his single bass pedal and a single bass drum. But yeah, Lee was a fabulous drummer. I loved his drumming in Uriah Heep, and it's a good documentary. It has a good story to it. You get some appearances by Ian Pace from Deep Purple, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, the guys from Kiss, the current lineup from Kiss. They make an appearance in there as well. And he was still, up to the day he died, he was still just, I mean, I guess you could say, best friends, or brothers with Mick Box from Uriah Heep, and they talk about that. Mick makes an appearance more than once. Uh, but if you like your music documentaries, this is one to check out. I don't think I mentioned it. It's on Tubi, so you don't have to worry about paying for another streaming service that you don't have. Tubi is completely free. Just go on to the Tubi streaming app and just search. You can search just Lee Kerslake and it'll pop up. So you're covered there. Um, but it is so good, and I don't want to get into Uriah Heep so much, because, like I said, I'm gonna bring you a Uriah Heep show, and there's a lot to talk about with that band. There is a ton to talk about, just because they've been around for over 50 years, and there's a ton to go over with them. They have a great history, a great catalog, um, and yeah, just really, really good stuff. But yeah, check out the Lee Kerslake documentary, Not on the Heap. It is just it's good, and it's got a nice, I think I think there's a nice heartwarming end to it that you will appreciate. I know I did. They did a very, very good job, and I think that it's just a great tribute, um, to a great musician, to a great drummer. Oh, and by the way, during this documentary, um, not only is Lee trying to get his, as I turn my notes over, not only is Lee trying to get his platinum records before he passes on, because he knows his days are numbered. Um, but he is working on his very first solo album. And yeah, so you got to watch the documentary on it. You have to watch that movie to get the story on that. Just good stuff. And you can check out the solo album. It's called 11 Teen. You have to watch the doc for that to get what that title is all about. But it's 11 Teen, and you can buy it wherever you can get music. It's out there. I did a sample, listen to it, and just good stuff. It was good to hear Lee's voice at 72 years old when he passed. He passed 3 years ago, I believe it was. I think it was 2020 or 20. Yeah, I think it was 2020, late 2020. And still sounding really good. Still sounding really, really good. So, yeah. Yeah, check out those documentaries. John Lennon, Murderer Without a Trial, and Lee Kerslake, Not on the Heap. And then check out my 3 favorite CDs for the year 2023. I'll count them down. Let's see. We had Steve Jerry, 7 Ways Till Sunday. We had Uriah Heep, Chaos and Color, and Angel, Once Upon a Time. But before we wrap, I think most of you know, if you've been around for the duration of this program, that this podcast is not a regular job for me. This is a side project. This is my hobby. It's a hobby that I love doing, that's for sure. And I want to bring you the best content that I can, and I want to try to make it as professional as I can on no budget, by the way. So I do have a regular job. I have been off work for the entire year of 2023. I have a really physical job, and I had shoulder surgery, so that put me out for a year. Well, guess what, people? I will be going back to work coming up next month, probably around the middle of the month. And I share this with you only because I have promised that I will be putting out an episode a week. I promised it on Fridays, and so far I'm sticking to that. We'll see what the work schedule is like. I may change the day, but Friday seems like a good day to put out a new episode every week. But I am promising you at least one episode every week. And that's why I'm trying to push through so much. I shouldn't say push through. It sounds cheap. But that's why I've tried to bring you so much content since the beginning of this show until now, because I wanted you to have something to chew on, something to listen to, something to watch, get to know me a little bit, get to know what this show is about, and try to bring you as much of that before the schedule changes, where it's going to be one episode a week. If I can get out a second episode, I will. But I know when I get back to work, I keep some pretty crazy work hours. So we'll see how that goes. But you're definitely going to get one episode every week when I do get back to work. But we probably have it's probably going to be the middle of the month, so we have at least 2 more weeks. So you may get 2, 3, 4 episodes before that. I'm looking forward to that. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Short show today, but I need to talk to my people, and I need you to see my face. And I wanted to bring you a little bit of not so much year in review, but just some musical highlights from me for the year 2023. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back next year. And I hope you enjoy your New Year holiday. No matter what you do, no matter who you spend it with, just be safe out there. Be good to each other. Yeah, we got some good things coming up for this show. And I hope nothing but the best for you and your families. That comes from mi corazón. But once again, the program is available on multiple podcast outlets like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Uh, you can simply do a search for the Ben Maynard program. You'll have multiple options to choose from. Pick your option and listen away. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, please. Okay? Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, Ben Maynard Program. That is it. And this is a wrap for 2023. And aloha. This is the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.